Hey, welcome to Co-Operators. This is our visit to the SoCal Retro Con. This is the second time we're going. Unfortunately, by the way, this is Chuckingdice. How you going? I always say that. How you going? By the way, this is Chuckingdice. How you doing? We are not with Augmented Biscuits. His wife came down with the flu, and he's taking care of her right now. I am here with my friend Cotterman, who you might recognize from the old Chuckingdice board game review series. He's the other voice talking. So say hi, Cotterman.
Hey guys, how's it going? Or how's you doing? Or wait, I forget what you said.
How's it Okay. All right, so we're going to head down there. It's in the City of Industry. It's about 40 minutes away from our location. I'm hoping traffic won't be so bad because the Women's March is happening right now, which I neglected. I actually forgot that was happening. I guess it's actually happening at the same day that Trump took office, officially.
We should go to that. It sounds like it'll become a riot. Woo, yeah, burning stuff and looting. Women's March. Women's March.
But we're not going there. We're going to the City Industry. We're going to go check out some retro games. Codman here is actually in the market for a PlayStation 4 Pro. Is that right?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I feel like I just need to waste my money on something. I got it in my head now. I need that thing, Clyde. I shouldn't buy it, but
Chuckingdice. My name is Chuckingdice.
Oh, it's Chuckingdice. You're Chuckingdice. Sorry, Chuckingdice. Yes. Who's this other guy I was talking about? I've never heard of him.
Okay, so we're going to head down there. Occasionally we'll turn this thing on if Cotterman knows how to work this thing. And we'll talk about it, shoot the shit, and so on and so forth. So I'll talk to you later. So we just got to, well, I wanted to say Frankincense, but we're about, what do you think, a mile away now?
We had an adventure, a journey to Frankincense.
So what happened is that there are a lot of people here, and I'm not sure if it's Frankincense just doesn't have a lot of parking. I thought it did, but a lot of people seem to be parking like a mile away and just kind of walking towards the direction of where Frankincense is. So I'm hoping that we can still get inside because Frankincense is a giant warehouse that you know I hope it's not the case where like we've reached capacity and the fire marshal says that we can't come in because we have tickets. That's
right. We're paying customers. Goddamn, let us in.
But we're gonna attempt it. We're gonna walk it and then get in there. I have to pee, so I guess I'll hold it and pee in that person's yard. No, there's too many people there. But yeah, we're here. We're gonna see. We're going to see some stuff. So, Cotterman, what are you looking forward for? I mean, you don't know anything about this, do you?
Not really. I know little of RetroCon. I used to play games, old games back in the day, so I guess I'll be a little nostalgia trip. Like, oh, hey, I remember that game. I'm not going to buy it, of course, though. I ain't got time for that. But, it's Frankenstein, so they got all kinds of other cool shit, too. They got statues with the titty come off.
You want to share that story real quick?
Oh, yeah, sure. It's been years since I've been here, but I like to collect shit. I'm not doing it so much these days, but one of the things I got into collecting was anime statues of sexy ladies, and Frankenstein's has a lot of, anime statue booths. Pretty cool. I can come out one time, and me and Chuck and Dice here, another buddy of ours, are walking around, and some carny-looking dude with a beard and a cane. Tell your friend I like his shirt. Like, he's standing right next to me. I think he hears you. Like, oh, okay, yeah. And we're talking to him, this weird guy. And he's like, what you guys here for? And I'm like, oh, looking for anime statues. He's like, oh, I got a spot for you guys. Come on over, check it out. This one's titty come off. That one's titty come off. Oh, all the titty come off. And we're like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? I don't know if you could take the clothes off or they were just scantily clad anime statues. But anyway, the titty come off. We found out.
Okay, so that's something to look forward to. We're maybe we'll look for some statues. We can't get to the con and see if the titty indeed comes off.
We'll finally solve that mystery.
Hashtag me too. All right, cool. Thank you. All right, we're back for a second. We actually took a little lunch break. The convention center is absolutely packed. There is absolutely no parking. But it's pretty fun. Frankincense is actually a pretty sizable convention center. Not really a convention center. It's more of like a pop culture flea market type deal. There's a lot of games to be played. I mean, it's the same setup as last year. There's a place where you can do panels. There's people doing autographs. There's people selling merch. And then there's a free arcade. Yeah. So I've already done this entire convention thing. So I want to get Cotterman's thoughts on it. So take it away, Cotterman.
I hate it. No, it's pretty awesome. I haven't been to Frank & Sons in years, and it seems way bigger. Just the general, floor space, room, whatever. But yeah, a lot of booths, a lot of cool shit to look at. The convention part is pretty cool. Yeah, there's a little arcade. It's all free. Pretty packed, but still awesome. It's there, some panels are going to be happening later, and other cool shit to look at. And retro games if you're looking to buy. It's pretty awesome. Definitely worth checking out. Back to you, Clyde.
So I guess like we've mostly walked because it's not the actual retro convention is not that big. Yeah. We've been walking through Frankincense. I guess we can give our thoughts on Frankincense in general. Now there's two things. There's a place where you have to show your badge and get in, and that's where all the retro video games are, and then you can play whatever games. But there is this other part of it where you don't have to pay to get in, and it reminds me of like a normal comic book convention where they sell different like figurines and stuff like that. Let's talk about that a little. So like we've been there plenty of times. I usually when I go I look for comics. At one point when certain movies weren't widely available, I would actually go there to get bootlegs. We were just actually talking to a guy who was showing the DVD to House. I remember back in the day, House did not come out in DVD for the longest time, and I had to get like a bootleg of like a DVD that was a port of the VHS with all the tracking lines and everything like that. So like, what are some of the stuff that you were looking at? Because you were looking at a lot of stuff, through Frankincense. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, I wasn't looking for anything in particular, but I kind of came going like, I don't really want to spend any money, but I know I'm going to. There's going to have a bunch of cool stuff that I'm like, God, I just have to buy that. There's a ton of awesome Godzilla statues. Yeah, if I had more money to waste, I'd definitely buy some. There's some pretty cool, I don't know what you say, those things like the hologram pictures. It was awesome. Like you have these hologram pictures. One of them's like, Goten in trunks doing the fusion dance. Boom, you fucking shift your head. It's Gogeta or Goten or whatever the fuck his name is. But there was some stuff like that. It was pretty awesome. Old wrestling stuff is cool. And aside from Godzilla figures, there's every type of figure. Like any kind of figure you want, they got. It's pretty awesome. Yeah, like I said, it's way way bigger than I remember it being. So it just seems like it was all the same stuff you could find before, but now just way more of it, like way more options and everything. But yeah, it happens every week, which is also the cool thing. It's not even like a convention that happens here and there. It's like there's always this awesome comic book flea market thing going on that, I don't know. It's worth checking out. I know a bunch of people who are like totally into all that stuff and like, I've never even heard of it. And it's been going for a while. Here you go, Clyde.
Yeah, so it is like a sort of a haven for a lot of like older like merchandise and like just nostalgic toys and stuff like that. While we were leaving, I saw a Devastator like from Transformers, the original Devastator, but it seemed like to be a different version of it, but still that sort of G1 style. So I'm looking forward to like kind of going back there and checking that out because I was like, I kind of want that. I never actually had all of Devastator back in the day, but he was like kind of one of my favorite like combiners, I guess. Yeah, like the Constructicons. So yeah, I want to go and check that out.
How big was it? That box looked like it was.
Yeah, it didn't. The actual figure didn't seem very large. It seemed like it might have been sort of like a statue, but it had movable pieces or something like that. I don't know. That's why I want to kind of check it out. Maybe it won't be $150. We were seeing stuff that were like $500 or $240 for like a Ninja Turtles still in its packing, which I guess that's an artifact at this point.
Yeah. I was on the Ninja Turtle thing. I was looking at a little article saying like the top 10 most valuable figures, and I owned so many of them when I was a kid. God damn it, I'm so stupid. I just played with them. They were worth so much money. Had I known. Yes.
So, give me the mic. So one of the things we were checking out was Magic the Gathering, because there was a Magic the Gathering tournament going on along with Yu-Gi-Oh. There used to be so many card games back in the day, but now there's like 3. Yeah. There's Magic, there's Yu-Gi-Oh, and there's Pokemon. Yeah, there's other ones, but they're not as popular. There used to be, because I used to play all of them, and the one I played most was Star Trek: The Customizable Card Game. Obviously, it's not still around. Magic is still around. It's the only one that's kind of started and just hasn't ended yet. So I was talking to a friend who, used to play Magic the Gathering back in the day, and then when he got into it, the game has kind of changed in a way. But you were talking about something that you had some old cards. Let's talk a little bit about that, touch upon that a little bit.
If you played Magic back in the late 90s and kept your stuff, it's worth so much money now. I mean, maybe you already know that, but I didn't know. Like, I had sold all my stuff when I was in my early 20s because I didn't play anymore.
There's a certain card that...
Yeah, there's all like the dual lands and like some land destruction card, sinkholes or something. I don't know what, but I had all these cards that I sold. Like, they're like $50, not bad. But now they're like 200 plus. My buddy was telling me this, some common card that we all had like 60 of. Like if your friend played it against you, you just rip it in half or draw a dick on it or something because everybody had so many of them and it wasn't worth anything. Well, 10 years later or so, some new series came out that had some card that was like a brutal combo with that old card. And that card that was worth like 25 cents is now worth like $75. I would be rich, goddammit, rich, magic rich, but I didn't have the vision to just keep holding on to it. So basically, hoard all of your stuff. Never get rid of it. Any of it could be worth so much money in the future.
And that's the thing, is that you don't really know what's going to be worth money in years. I mean, we thought we had the foresight because everyone, Beanie Babies aren't really worth a lot, but back in the day, like, I was collecting comics like everyone else, and everyone else was like thinking that comics will put them through college, put their kids through college. That wasn't the case because so many comics were being published at the time. We were just kind of going off of what was, yeah, we were going off like issue number 1, because issue number 1 of like what Spider-Man Fantastic Four was worth a lot, but Amazing Spider-Man number 1, but we didn't realize that, like, because so many were being published and so many people were getting them, the rarity factor of those comics, like, just kind of is not very high. Same with some toys; they're not worth as much as you think. Some toys are a little bit more expensive than others, just because they probably didn't make as many as a certain toy than the others. But then, like, like toys and comics, you kind of like hand in hand. That's something we know that would be worth a lot of money. You don't expect Magic the Gathering card game or stuff like that to be worth a lot, or even old Nintendo games. Like old Nintendo games in their like packaging go for a lot, and it's like, it goes to show you we don't know where the.
I mean, even still a little, you can find old Nintendo games that are, like Contra. Everybody had Contra, so guess what? It's worth $10 or $15 or something like that. Like the Ninja Turtle thing, I forget what figure it was. It was like the most valuable one, but it was almost $1,000, and it was worth. It came out like very much at the end of the run in like '93 or '4. And it was like a figure I never even seen it before, and I thought I had all of them, and it was like, those are the ones you got to look for. Like, I've never heard of this guy. Buy that one.
So I mean, that goes to show you, like, you just don't know what's worth money anymore. You need to kind of have that foresight to say, maybe this little, I don't know, robot eraser thing might be worth something. Yeah.
That's why I just say hoard all your stuff. If you sell it, you'll never reap the benefits of its value.
It's like that Amazing Stories episode where Mark Hamill plays this, like, well, it starts when he's a child. The child, like, ends up finding this, like, Rumpelstiltskin type character, like a little troll character. And he said,
does Rumpelstiltskin make gold? Is that his thing?
No, I thought he, like, captures, like, the firstborn children or something like that. I think he does. I don't know.
There's some other girl, like, trapped in a tower spinning gold? Yeah, that's Rumpelstiltskin? Okay.
So he finds this, like, sort of, like, mystical troll character, and I guess he catches it, and, like, basically the troll says, if you release me, if you help me out of this, like, I will make you rich beyond your dreams. And so what happens is that, the kid lets him go and says, okay, when it's going to happen? Well, it's not going to happen now.
it's going to happen during time, and I'll visit you and, you know, make sure that everything's going according to plan. So he says, like, well, but you must not, like, get rid of anything that you own.
What?
Yeah. So he kind of grows up to be older and older, and like Mark Hamill plays the older, you know, like the older versions. Like starts out as a teen, you know, like a you know, person in his 20s. He's got a car. He's got all these like toys. His like parents are mad at him because he's not getting rid of these old toys and these old comic books and stuff. And he's like, but these are my things. These are my treasures. Like, you know, he said that, you know, they would give me, you know, wishes beyond my dreams. And then eventually when he's like an old man, his car's like broken down and stuff like that. He's living off pennies. He's homeless.
He still has his stuff. He still has his stuff, though? Okay.
Yeah, he still has his stuff. And like, so finally he gets to that point where he's just old and he sees the little troll guy again. He's like, when is this going to happen? And like, while he's like kind of pushing his car and like into like an alleyway, some guys like walk by and they like look through the window and they recognize all the old toys. And then they see Action Comics #1, the first appearance of Superman. And so they like come up to him and it's like, do you realize you're sitting on like treasure here? You have a fortune. And like cut to him like selling like all of his stuff in an auction, and he's like earning all this money. He's rich, but he's like old and like, you know, hooking up with this like, you know, like a young woman who, you know, obviously wants him for his money. But yeah, it's kind of like that. So yep. So that goes to show you life sucks. Okay. we're gonna take a little break. We'll pick up when we, you know, go back to the convention.
You know what's bullshit? Rooms that don't have enough speakers so that you can actually hear the panel. So we're back. We're actually going to be heading out here just because the panels that I wanted to actually go to were kind of in a sort of a warehousey area, meaning that there was a bunch of shelves and there was only really 2 big monitor speakers. And there was a game contest, like a game, like a sort of like a tournament going on right next to it. There weren't any kind of soundproofing anything. There were just curtains just dividing the area. So I could not hear a single thing that the gaming historian was trying to say because we were sort of in the back. And so we were more closer to the contest happening and less closer to the actual speaker. The seats were all full. Now, it's great that the seats were all full because, you know, those speakers kind of deserve the fandom and stuff like that because they've been working hard creating content. We got to the tail end of the gaming historian, which we couldn't hear at all because we were so far back. And then the AVGN came in. We were able to, like, you know, hop about 4 or 5 rows, but they had the volume up high, but the mic got a little hot and, you know, feedback started happening. And I imagine if they left it at that level, it would have, you know, gotten even worse. But then, like, I started hearing that, like, you know, when the AVGN was trying to speak, like, every kind of amount of feedback that was happening, it sounded like they were adjusting the levels, and it was just getting more and more quiet. So that was, you know, basically the first, like, you know, 12 rows that were all full. Probably could hear him, but as far as the rest of us, we could not hear him. And I was just like saying, you know, to Cotterman here, yeah, maybe we should just go because I can't hear a single thing. And I'm just looking at his face at this point. And it was funny because 2 people behind us just did the same thing. And then, like, you know, when we got up, we started, you know, leaving, and like when the people who worked there were working the event asked, "Oh, are you guys leaving?" He's like, "Yeah, we can't. Yeah, we are." And before we could say anything, they went to the people like kind of standing in line waiting to get in. They're just like, "Oh yeah, there's 2 free up there." And it's like, well, and then they were basically saying, "Well, I think they're leaving because they can't hear anything." And it's like, "Yeah, we can't hear a single thing." So it's kind of disappointing that happened. I mean, what do you think here, Cotterman?
Yeah, I mean, for going to conventions, panels are kind of, I think, one of the cooler things. With the internet these days, you know, any information you might find out at, like, you know, whatever convention, you used to not be able to hear that until you saw it printed in a magazine, whatever, months later, and now it's on the internet the next day. The cool collectible shit that you could never find anywhere is on the internet. So you go to a panel to see people you really are into, or you know, whatever, at a convention, see a panel, and see people you like speak. You know, usually they're really funny. Some of my favorite ones have been like, "Oh, that was great. Found out some stuff I didn't know. You know, had some good laughs from some funny stories, whatever." And to not be able to hear it, I mean, that kind of it's kind of a critical factor right there. If you can't hear it, Yeah, that's the whole presentation, So I guess I don't know. I don't know if they had not had panels in that room before, but there was no speakers in the back. It just seemed like I don't know if the system wasn't that good because they should have been able to turn it up a lot louder without having the feedback. And I don't know. I guess had we stayed, maybe it would have gotten better. But the Angry Video Game Nerd came out and was just like, "Hey guys, I don't know. Ask me some questions." And general people are like, "Hey, what'd you think of this or that?" And it's like having a moderator or somebody, or having him come out and like sort of start a discussion. So people go, "Oh yeah, now I have a better question, or I have something more to think about." So I was like, "Well, I mean, this could become a better panel, but we can't hear it." So that was a little disappointing. Otherwise, still pretty cool. I'm glad I came.
Yeah, I'm glad we came too because I always dug it. I was actually able to talk to the gaming historian Norman Caruso after his panel because we were leaving, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go to his booth to see if he's signing anything, and I bought his Blu-ray Volume 1 of the Gaming Historian. I got one actually for Augmented Biscuits and his wife, and I had him sign it. Get well soon. Maybe I'll drop that by when we're driving home here. But yeah, in general, like it was a good. It was a good convention. I just wish the panel was done a little bit more sensibly. Now I get it though because it's in a warehouse, so there's very little places you can put something like that. But maybe putting the game contest right next to where speakers are generally trying to talk was not a good idea. Because there were also people in the working the contest, making these loud announcements, and we could only hear him speak. We can hear people clearly talking about the video game contest.
Oh, we're sitting there and it's like, yeah, Billy wins the tournament. Yeah, woo, Billy. And we're like, oh, great for him, I guess.
Yeah, it's like I just didn't get I was just like, man, I can't hear anything. But I'm glad Billy won that video game contest of whatever the hell he was playing. And it got really packed towards the end there. When we got there, it was packed. But when we were, towards the tail end of that, it seemed like there was a hell of a lot more people, roaming the aisles of sort of the merchant area. So it was kind of a bit of a disappointment to a bit of a disappointment with the panels, but all in all, the convention's successful. I really do hope that next year they actually do this at the convention center. Last year they did it on I believe there was the Ontario Convention Center, and the panel was in a separate room. It was a conference room, with soundproofing walls or whatever, and speakers everywhere so people can hear everything. I don't think this kind of works in the sense of a warehouse. Hold on a second.
I have a question for you, Clyde. Since you went to this last year at a convention center versus it being at Frankenson's, how was the amount of content? Because if you just took just the convention part of this thing, it was pretty small. I mean, it had a lot of cool stuff in it, but Frankenson's is pretty big. It had a lot of stuff. So you're like, oh, I'm shopping for comics, anime statues, whatever. You got a lot of aisles to go up and down, a lot of booths to check out. We could have probably hung out a little longer. We didn't get to see everything, But if it was at a different convention center, minus the Frankenson's aspect, how was it?
Well, then it was a lot focused on the video game aspect at that point. You had, I want to say there was maybe a little bit more, I guess, sponsored booths from companies. We did see a Retrobit booth there, but it wasn't really that big. It was kind of like a table. Last time we went, there was a lot of sort of sponsored booths of companies that kind of specialize in this sort of retro kind of I guess fad that's going on or following or cult following. And obviously, you didn't have any of the statues and stuff like that. You didn't have anime body pillows. Those are stuff that are more appropriate to Anime Expo, which I'm actually going to.
It's been years. I think it's been 6 years since I've been to that.
Yeah, I think it's actually been. I think the last time I went was with you, but I'm going to be cosplaying with some people.
Oh, really? What are you going to cosplay as?
Well, apparently I'm going to be Mugen from Samurai Champloo. Have you ever heard of that one?
Yeah. Actually, I was kind of eyeballing a Jean Mugen, and I can't remember her name, but I loved it. I was talking to somebody about it the other day, and I was like, God, I need to revisit Bebop, Samurai Champloo. I never saw Makio-e Hachin, whatever series after. They got a series beyond that called Kids on the Slope or something that somebody was telling me was really good. But I'm way out of touch. I need to get back into the anime circuit.
Well, if you're way out of touch, I mean, the last animes that I were really into like came out years and years ago. I think Welcome to the NHK was the only like the newer one. But getting back to this, yeah, like the retro gaming convention is a little bit more specialized of just the video game aspect. You don't really see a lot of, and it's also retro games. But there was it seemed like there was a hell of a lot more arcades, and they were spread apart. So like the aisles didn't really get that congested. And there was a lot of stuff like console setup, for free play as well, which was a lot of fun because we would like walk past and like I've never played this console before, like PC Engine or something like that. Like the actual real console. There's this one we found was a sort of Mega Man kind of tournament fighter kind of game, which I played and like enjoyed a lot. It was a lot of fun. I didn't really see that here. It seemed like all the tube televisions was only like focused on the contest part of it, and like it was really cramping there. There didn't seem to be a whole lot of places we can move. So that was kind of that was a little bit more cozier. So that's the pretty much difference is that in the convention center everything's a little bit more spread apart. Even though there was a lot of people that went to that convention, it seemed like that we had a little bit more elbow room, and it's a definite plus having sort of the panels in a separate room altogether by itself so that everyone can hear. The rooms were big, so everyone could fit in, so you didn't really have a lot of people waiting outside. We just coming back, going through, there was a lot of people waiting to get inside that panel, but you kind of had to pick and choose when to come in because if you're too far back, you can't hear anything. I mean, I don't know. Like, you got any other thoughts?
Well, I actually I just had a thought. Was there any particular arcade machine you were hoping to see? For me, I was pretty surprised to see Bad Dudes. We didn't play it, but I was like, oh shit, Bad Dudes. I would have loved to, however, seen the 4-player Alien vs. Predator game. I fucking loved that game. It was so much fun, and it wasn't that hard. You could beat it without crushing all your quarters. It wasn't there though. They had The Simpsons. Maybe seeing the X-Men 4-player game. That'd have been cool.
Those are all last year. I remember seeing at least the X-Men game and obviously the 4-player Sims. I think I do remember seeing the Alien game there, too. So, I don't think there was as many. Like I said, it was a little bit more cozier in there.
Yeah, I guess.
And I didn't see a single pinball machine. I believe there were pinball machines last time.
Retro gaming?
Yeah, that is retro gaming right there. So, we're probably gonna hit. We're gonna try and hit to. Is it open?
Game Dude. Oh,
yeah.
no,
We were kind of thinking of heading towards Game Dude, which is a sort of like local store that sells. It's like a mom and pop kind of like gaming store. It's like a pawn shop. You can trade in your games and such, and you can buy newer games or you can buy older games. They have like lists readily available to tell you how much it costs, so you can just tell the vendor what you're looking for. I usually go there to buy DS games because I like love that.
They're open till 7.
They're open till 7. Okay, so we still have time to kind of go down there. So we might head down there. Who knows? Maybe we'll do another recording. But if we don't, just keep it rolling, and we will catch you next time.